I'm Jonathan Kibrick, and welcome to another cooking video with me in partnership with Sunday Streets and Livable City. Today we're doing another cooking demonstration on how to help keep everything going in your kitchen, making things last a little longer. Today we're doing vegetable stock. It's pretty easy, and all you need is some various scraps from your kitchen, some time, and a willingness to have a little bit of fun. So, everybody's kitchen has got a few items in it that we're all going to usually have or have access to. You can usually find onions, carrots, and of course, your table mushrooms. So pretty common ingredients you can find in most groceries and usually in various corner shops as well as various other food providers throughout the city and the region. When we prepare these, we are going to usually take bits off of them that are usually going to wind up in our green cycle. Now, when we're done with them all, it'll still wind up in our compost. But we're going to use common scraps from the things that we're going to use every day. Some onion that we're going to saute up for this or that. Some carrot peel for some various things you're going to either saute or, even microwave some chopped up carrots, something you've got in the salad, or mushrooms that you're going to add, a little flavor to. We're always going to pop those little knobs off, little bits. And these are all important scraps that you can use to make a vegetable stock. Now, I've got a few items here from some stuff I cooked the last couple of days. So you see, I've got some onion skins from a red onion and a yellow onion. This is all stuff that we've taken off an onion that we weren't going to use. And we're going to go in. But I've set aside, held on to it. We've also got some carrot peels, just average peels, some of the bits from when you top the carrots, hold on to all of it, because you're going to use this. And of course, because I was feeling so appropriately Slavic, I made zapikanka for lunch today. The little bottom bits of all the mushrooms I chopped up to make it. I've got some other stuff that I've been saving from a couple other things that I've done through the week. I've saved some bits from a stalk of celery. You can see it's the various internal little green bits, the stuff you'd normally trim off, and the very bottom of the heart that you'd also trim off. It's not required to have this, but, it can come in handy. And, of course, some very tops of some green onions that I used a couple days ago. Let's have to make some tacos. So these are all going to go into a big stock pot with some various seasonings. We're going to need some bay leaves. I like a little bit of paprika. Not required, but I like it. Some regular peppercorns. And as I like things spicy, a couple of chile de árbol. Now we're going to go get all this into a pot, get it on the stove. So, as you can see, we've got all the ingredients into a stock pot. I'm putting it in a pretty standard Dutch oven. You could probably do a slightly larger one, but I like a pretty concentrated stock. If you're trying to make a nice amount, you can usually use a slightly bigger pot. This one is, I forget how many quarts this is, but it's a pretty good size. Make enough for a nice soup for 2 or 3 people. But again, if you want to make it, you can sort of scale the amount you want. You want to have a good amount of those scraps in there to really get that going. So we're going to get this and fill some water in it. And you want to make sure you get it really nice and full because you're going to want to be able to have this boil for quite some time. The idea is you want to get every last bit of flavor out of the vegetables that you were using to really capture it and just get everything out. You want to make sure that the vegetable, when it goes into your compost bin, has given every last ounce of flavor. It gives you everything you want to make a nice little soup. So we got that filled up with water there. I just like to stir it around just to make sure that the spices get evenly distributed. We're going to take this, pop it on the stove, turn it on high, and bring it up to a boil. Now, there are some other options you can add to this to give it an extra bit of sort of an umami, sort of that rich, sort of butterier, more meatier flavor. Now this is a vegetable stock. This is totally vegan what we're making here. But you can add little things that'll still keep it vegan, or suitable to people who don't eat dairy, or don't want to add meat in this case. I personally like a bit of Vegemite, but any kind of yeast extract will do. Now, if you have nutritional yeast, for example, this is another great flavoring. You can find it at most of your health food shops. It's also available through various online retailers and so forth. I always recommend, if you can find it at your local grocery, your local co-op, your local health food shop, go there. And it's gonna, you want to add about a little bit like this. I like a little bit of that yeast. I like that sort of slightly more hearty flavor. So I actually add both the yeast extract, because I don't like to add the salt, so this adds my salt for me, and more of this yeasty flavor to give it that sort of heartiness, that umami, that really nice little flavor. So I'm just going to toss this in while it heats up. We're going to come back in a few minutes once this comes up to a boil. So it's been a little while, but as you can see, we have got this rolling on the boil. So we've got it really going. We've got it really almost. Try not to let it boil once you get to the top. We want to get it nice, really roaring. As you can see, we've got all of this veg is starting to get really worked through here. So once we've got it to where we want it, we're going to bring it down to a medium heat, usually about 4 or 5 on a dial, so your very medium heat. So we want to let this sort of boil, but not too hard for too long, because otherwise it'll boil away all the broth. You don't want it to simmer or get like a really low boil, because you're not going to get all those flavors out. So let's take a normal kitchen spoon, sort of stir it around, make sure everything gets distributed even nicely. And just keep this on that medium temperature for a while. It'll probably take an hour or so, maybe 2. You just let it just keep going nice and gentle, and just let it work all of those flavors out. As long as you're doing stuff here in the kitchen, leave it here, take a look at, keep an eye on it regularly, make sure it's not boiling over, make sure nothing's burning on the bottom. If there's enough liquid in here, that shouldn't be a problem. But again, like anything on the stove, you want to keep an eye on it. You want to make sure that it's going to be watched, but it's not something you're going to have to watch like a hawk consistently. So usually I go to the other part of the room area, do some other stuff, maybe do some cleaning, do some dishes, maybe prepare some other food. Just let this go and keep doing this thing. When you got it nice and boiling, you're trying to get an idea of the flavor. You can take a taste. So you can take a little spoon, take a little dip, wait about 23 seconds or keep blowing on it, because this is, again, boiling hot fluid. Make sure it is cool enough before you taste it. So we're just letting it sit here for a bit, cool down. Cooling down. Again, boiling hot liquid. Don't put it straight in your mouth as soon as you take it out of the pot, because it will be, as I said, boiling hot. Yeah, it's got a nice flavor to it. You can start feeling the stuff. I haven't added the Marmite yet, so this is where I would take it, because I want it nice and warm, because I want it to dissolve the item. Again, totally optional. Nothing you're required to use, but again, personal tastes are what goes into what you make. I want to encourage you, as you're working in the kitchen, what you're doing here is making food you want to eat. Not what the Food Network tells you to eat, not what your in-laws tell you should eat, what you want to eat. It's all about what you like, what tastes good to you. And I encourage you to experiment with any recipe, apart from the ones that have very specific chemical reactions you have to do with yeast or baking soda to get those nice bloom and, rises to things. All recipes are a suggestion. So use this as a guideline. But always remember, flavor things the way you want it to taste. This is something you're cooking for you and your family, or your friends, or your roommates, or sometimes the roommate that you're not always quite fond of, but you're not doing it because you want to, have them be nice to you occasionally. This is all what cooking is. So, all these things, as you can work together, you can work on the different ratios, the different spices, the flavors. If you like something, put it in. If you like the flavor, put it in. Use something that's a little bit more, sort of, a nice sort of piquant, sort of acid note. Add some lemon juice, add some lime, add a little bit of vinegar. But do what tastes good to you and what you like in your soup. We're going to keep this going for a little while. We're going to come back once it's really got all those nice flavors out. We're going to talk through what you need to do to finish it off, strain it, and store it. Or turn it into a soup. So, we're getting into the home stretch here. As you can see, we've still got on the boil here, but let's turn it off here. You can see we've definitely had some of the volume boil down in the pot. And just to get an idea how you'll take it from just sort of like a plain bit of water with some vegetables in it, well, after a little while, we're getting on towards the end here, you're going to wind up with a nice, beautiful stock like this. Good color, nice sort of deep dimension to it. Again, still really hot. This is going to be your last step where you want to taste it. Make sure you got all the flavors you want in it. If you want to add a little more pepper or salt or something to, change it up to the flavor you want, this is the last step because we want to take this off the heat, give it a taste. I want to add a little bit more salt. Didn't quite get enough in it. Stock, you can't go completely zero salt as much as you want to believe it. So I'm just going to give it very small, just literally a pinch. Mix that in. Make sure it gets all nice and distributed. This is where we're going to strain out all of these good bits. So, get a strainer and a bowl. You can also use another stock pot, or if you've got a big container that you can put it in. What I'm doing tonight, or today, whenever, is taking this. I'm going to be using a big bag to freeze this, so I always have stock on hand, but I'm going to let it cool first in this bowl. But we want to separate out all of these pieces. Okay, that's very hot. All of these pieces, and just have the stock remaining. We'll get that nice, chunky stock, nice and clear. So we're just going to take it, put your strainer over your bowl, or the container you're going to put it into. Just pour it over. So we have all of our vegetable scraps here, which we've now gotten all the nice little flavors out. Strain that, and it leaves us, we got all the pieces, all the stuff. So we're going to let this cool a little bit. Once it's cool, so you don't want to damage your green cycle container, but you have a metal one or something like that where you can put it in. All of this now goes in your compost. And all of this is your stock. You can let it cool, pop it in a jar, put it in your fridge. You can put it in a container, put it in your fridge. If you're doing this earlier in the day and you're making soup tonight, this is where you pop it in. You can also put this in anywhere you'd use normal stock. I'm going to let this cool on the counter for a bit until it's cool enough I can put it in the freezer bag. I'm going to freeze this so I have fresh homemade stock that I can take out of the freezer, put into a pot on the stove, and it's good to go. That's how you make a vegetable stock from scraps from your normal cooking. Thanks so much for watching. Always remember, wash your hands, wash your fruit and veg before you use it, and stay safe out there.